Welcome to another TEPPEN deck guide. My name is Stout, and today is our first look at Zero from the Mega Man X series. He's one of the most popular Capcom characters ever, and tends to be very strong compared to other playable characters in every crossover game he's appeared in. That's also true in TEPPEN. Zero is a purple element hero, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to bring back the Fours deck that was so popular when the Day of Nightmares expansion came out last year. The archetype has some new units and support from action cards as well. Before we get into the deck, we need to talk about Memory. This is a new mechanic introduced in the Haunted by Memories expansion. Memory is the number of action cards you've played in a match. Some cards will become more powerful if your memory counter hits a certain number. This leads to more stats and bigger effects. A few things to keep in mind: negating an action will not stop it from increasing a player's memory counter. Also, units will trigger their memory effects even if they are played in non-conventional ways. One example is being revived. The hero art we are using is Fight Against Inner Demons. It's 14 AP to add one of two cards to your EX pocket. Maverick is a 1 MP cost action that destroys a random enemy unit with an MP cost of 6 or less. Maverick Hunter is a 1 MP cost action that gives a friendly unit +2/+4. You'll get to use it often, and it will help increase your memory counter because these actions are so cheap. They're also pretty powerful. I mentioned before that this deck would be built with a lot of 4-cost units. We also have enough cheap actions to increase the memory counter to give some of our units that extra push. Lupo is a 4-cost 1/4 from the Day of Nightmares expansion. When played, if you have another 4-cost unit in your hand or EX pocket, Lupo will gain +2/+4. Hell Antenora is another 4-cost unit. It's a 2/4, and whenever it takes damage, it deals damage equal to its attack to a random enemy unit. This card was slightly nerfed recently, but it's still very useful. Puke is a 4-cost growth unit. At level 2, it inflicts -2 attack on all enemy units for 1 attack. This can set up for very nice trades. Oro works well here too. He is a 4-cost 2/4 that gains 1 attack and an effect that reduces all damage he takes to 1 if he's ascended. This will work wonders against Ryu, Jill, and many other heroes. Mizusune is a new epic unit. It's a 4-cost 1/7 with agility, and whenever it attacks, it gives a random enemy unit -1 attack for 1 turn. Also, if you have memory 7, it gains 2 attack. Innocent Desire Lilith is a legendary from the Devil's Awaken. She's a 6-cost 1/8 with flight. She also has 4 growth levels that deal increased damage to a random enemy unit. You also gain life equal to the damage that you deal. This can help you pick off weak enemies and last a little longer. Tigrix is back. It's a 7-cost 4/7 with rush, agility, and spillover, but it seals itself if you play an action. Foresight is 1 MP to put a card in your EX pocket. Its low cost is perfect for increasing our memory counter. A Splendid Buffet is a 2 MP cost action to deal X +2 damage to an enemy unit, where X is the number of cards in both players' EX pockets. Your hero gains life equal to the damage. Almost every deck now utilizes the EX pocket in some way, so this can be very useful. Demonic Intimidation is a 3-cost action that returns an enemy unit of an MP cost of 4 or less to the EX pocket. Unforeseen Interference is useful for negating something your opponent plays. You could also run Soul Reflect or Hidden Intent here, but I personally prefer this one. Calculated Guidance is another new card, a 4 MP cost action that seizes control of an enemy unit with an MP cost of 3 or less. That might seem underwhelming on paper, but you'll find a lot of applications for it. And finally, Brainwash is a 7-cost action that seizes control of an enemy unit. Simple, effective, and it can turn the tide of an entire game. This first match is up against Ashura Senku Akuma, which is a deck that I have taken for a spin many times. One of my favorites. And Zero can actually deal with this quite well, and this matchup is a great example of being down but not out, and you'll see how that works as the match progresses. So right away, we start with quite a few options. The Mizusune is not great to start out with because that card becomes really powerful once you've hit that memory threshold. But the Puke and the Hell Antenora Tigrix Oro, those are all great stuff. So right away he drops 2 flyers, and what I'm trying to set up for here is by throwing down Puke to minimize some of this damage, and then throw out a Tigrix to clean up some of that of the enemy unit's board. Now, this does put us quite a bit behind, because other than doing that, our deck doesn't have a really fast way of dealing with it. You'll notice we're already down to 16 life. So the Akuma is now going to start buffing his units, particularly the Vega up top, with a Heartless Experiment, but the Tigrix should clean that up pretty nicely, avoiding the damage there narrowly, avoiding taking some extra damage there. But again, we're already down to 12. Now we have tons of MP to use, and we just drew into our hero art, which is Fight Against Inner Demons, and we end up pulling Maverick, which is the one that allows us to destroy a random enemy unit of 6 or less, which is pretty versatile. It's basically an obliterate that cannot target, but it's only 1 MP. Now that does leave it susceptible to being negated and selfish predation, specifically in the black matchup, or Soul Reflect, as you can see here, but not really anything we can do about it. Even though counters are still a possibility, you've got to kind of subscribe to the Beyblade school of you just got to let it rip sometimes. So we're down to 6. We're really, really low. But we're not out of this yet. We have all the MP in the world to use, and what I'm trying to set up for here is an opportunity to drop Lilith and to get her first growth level for some damage. And then we go with the non-memory Mitsutsune. Now, he is still running Starvation Impulse, despite that card being nerfed recently, and there being better alternatives. But, you know, you guys probably remember that card well. A lot of people think it's a pretty toxic card, and it did get nerfed, but we got a better one in Bloodbath Frenzy. So we drop the Oro to trigger another growth level on the Lilith, which ends up popping the other unit there in the bottom. We get ourselves another Maverick, and then he has the Quetzalcoatl in the middle, which can still grow, but it is going to be weak for this initial swing. Now you'll notice the Lilith has been adding some life back, because you'll remember that her effect, that extra damage that she deals, it heals you. So this is one way, coupled with cards like a Splendid Buffet, that will allow you to come back. So he attempts to buff. We are doing our best to try to destroy it with that Maverick, but he has another Soul Reflect. So the Quetzalcoatl lives and ends up getting buffed a little bit. But again, down but not out. So we're waiting for our MP to recover here, and we're going to be looking to deal with this Quetzalcoatl in a meaningful way. The Lilith gets halted, but that's not a huge deal, and we throw down the Hell Antenora to not only put him in the middle, but also get that final growth level on that Lilith to get that Quetzalcoatl out of our way and heal ourselves back up to 13. Now he is going to be playing Secret of Clairvoyance to put a little bit of a halt and a damage debuff on our Hell Antenora, and we're going to stop that just because that'll put us a little bit closer to getting another hero art. And you'll notice, look at these HP totals, we have closed the gap. Now, one of his mistakes is he has not been abusing Ashura Senku. He's got 2 of them in the pipe, almost closing in on 3, and he hasn't used it a single time. So this final Quetzalcoatl comes down, and I'm going to use Foresight to try to give us some more resources, put us a little bit closer to our hero art again. I mentioned earlier you're going to get to use it a lot, and it's very, very valuable. So the second hero art comes out, and then he activates Ashura Senku on that growth level 2 Quetzalcoatl. Now that'll guarantee 1 attack for 2 damage, but realistically that's not a lot. And this other Quetzalcoatl just got in the way of my Tigrix, which cleans it up, and now we have another hero art to use. So we activate it, and we end up getting another Maverick, which is really, really good. And it's totally worth using this Maverick to clear away this poor little bat boy right here. And the Akuma realizes he has nowhere to go, and we bring that one back from the brink. Here's a match you're going to be fighting a lot. Wesker is still incredibly popular. His hero arts are top notch, and by that nature, he will always be good just because his hero arts have a ton of board impact. Not to mention, Black has a lot of really good cards that weren't necessarily targeted in the nerfs. But setting that aside, this is still a matchup you can win. It's just difficult. So what you need to do is you need to play this matchup defensively. You don't want to overextend yourself, and you want to put yourself in a situation where you are reacting to what he is doing in a meaningful way. So he drops the Crow, and really the best option here is to try and steal it. So we try to take it away, but he's going to activate a Selfish Predation. But that's actually really good for us, because that means he is not going to have a Selfish Predation to clear a regular Tyrant, as an example, and he's going to lose out on some of that HP regeneration that Weskers normally have in the late game. Getting him to burn one early is great for us. I know it doesn't seem huge, but in the grand scheme of things, it does matter. So he's got some revenge focus units here. Helm is going to do a good job of dealing with these. The Bishamon manages to live with 1 health, but that's okay. We've got plenty of options in our hand. Not happy to see so many Mitsutsunes, but we do drop the Puke, and then we activate our hero art to get a Maverick, which is fantastic. Clearing 1 unit for 1 MP is just great value all around. And as you can see, he's now queued up for his Dark Destruction, which no doubt it goes down on the Oro. The Oro is a big problem for almost any deck because of that damage resistance. So it may appear that he's got the upper hand on us now, but we're still okay. He is getting some revenge on his units, but in the grand scheme of things, not a huge deal. So he activates Just Desserts, and I don't want to deal with this mess at all. So what we're going to do is we are going to use a Splendid Buffet to clear that zombie unit, so he will not get the Just Desserts trigger, and our Puke will live. Now granted, our Puke has already done his attack stat reduction job, but having an extra body on the field is never bad, and a 2/7 body isn't bad at all. So we drop Hell Antinora to clear up that Bishamon, and now we are once again in control of this match. He trades a zombie, but again, that's okay, because we are close to another hero art. We have a slight life lead, and we have plenty of resources in our hand: the Tigrex, the Oro, the Mitsutsunes, and the Brainwash. So he drops another zombie for triggering that revenge. And out comes Fate of the Unworthy, a stupid overtuned card. But at this point, he has tried to exhaust a ton of resources to get rid of this Puke. So at the end of the day, it's totally worth it to go ahead and drop the 1 MP for this Maverick and clear that zombie. Now, could I have probably done without doing that and just played another unit to trade with it? Yes, in hindsight, that is correct. Because now I put myself in a situation where I have to play a Mitsutsume without the memory bonus, but that's okay. So we activate our hero art, we get another Maverick, which is awesome. And now every time this Mitsutsune swings, he is putting an attack stat debuff on whatever is on the board. So now I'm going to attempt to take this Bishamon out with the Maverick, fully expecting that he will try to Selfish Predation, which is perfect, because now we're going to take it. So we activate the action that will steal it. That Bishamon will be going to our side of the field. Now he has Dark Destruction on deck, but he doesn't really have much of a choice other than to use the Dark Destruction on his own unit that we just swiped. Otherwise, that will become a big problem for him because it's a big body. So he burns his hero art, which is great for us. That whole exchange, the trade for us, was fantastic. Now he plays a Vial, more revenge units, and we drop the Tigrex because we have the MP and I want to put some pressure on. The Mitsutsune is going to be decreasing the enemy unit's attack, making it more optimal for trades. We get another Maverick, which is sick, and then he activates another Fate of the Unworthy on the Mitsutsune, which is fine with us. We'll let it go. That Vial's not really causing a whole lot of problems. He's just a 2/3, not really anything super scary. Plus that Tigrex, as you can see, swinging for 4 quite consistently down there, and we have a ton of MP to work with. So out comes the Revenge Cerberus, and that's another great opportunity to throw down our second Tigrex for maximum pressure. And even though the Tigrex could go ahead and clean this up, and that's probably what I should have done, is just let the Tigrex do work. There wasn't really a need to seal there for the Maverick, but it does end up working out okay, because we still have one decent sized body, another body that's swinging for 4 that's soon to go, and this Wesker is on life support. So as you can see, the Tigrex are going to clean it up, and that's the way you got to play. You've got to be defensive, you've got to react, don't get too antsy. Let's talk about something you'll be playing a lot of, and that is the mirror match, because Zero is hype. It's like I mentioned before, he's one of the most popular Capcom characters in the entire company's history. So it makes sense that he's going to be played a lot. But you'll notice as this progresses, these two decks are fundamentally similar. And his deck that he's using is actually something that I attempted to make work before I decided to go with the Fours shell that I'm using in this video. And I actually ended up a lot happier with this version. So he activates new generation Reploids. So what's clear to me is, even though he's duplicating the weakness, what he's trying to do is he's trying to set up himself to where he is going to have a ton of memory built up. He's looking for these cheap actions that can be spammed, and it's going to get him a ton of value. So our job is to try to close out the match before he has so much memory that he's able to run away with it. Now, he's not running Rakoha, so that's not nearly as scary. But it is something to keep in mind, because as you've probably noticed, there are some cards with memory that become insanely powerful. So I'm trying to play reactively here, but he doesn't really give us any other option to do other than to play this Tigrex, because the raw Mitsutsume without the memory built up is no good. So we throw down this Tigrex, we're going to let him do some work, and then he plays the Hashenko, and now it becomes obvious that this is a cheap action resonate build. Now, Hashenko for this deck in particular can be very, very scary. And the reason that is because you don't really have any easy ways of dealing with this Hashenko. The best way to deal with it is to, if you have Splendid Buffet, or if you have a strong unit that can go toe-to-toe with it and get optimal trades. That's really the only way. But you'll see there that the Splendid Buffets that we played in reaction, because he had things in his EX pocket, actually ended up working out for us, and we were able to clear that Hashenko, which is great for us because in terms of the MP value that we used in that exchange, it worked out really, really well for us. So the Tigrex is sealed, but he's still a big body, and we've got all the MP in the world to play with. So he's going to be using these weaknesses to build up his memory, and we're just going to kind of, be waiting for an opportunity. So now's the time to use this Demonic Intimidation. There's not going to be a whole lot of units in a Resonate deck that can be targeted by that, so if we have a chance to use it, we might as well. We have an abundance of MP. So out comes the Deadly Traps, which returns an enemy unit of 1 or less to the EX pocket. Now, this is, it's kind of unfortunate because our EX pocket is full. So what's going to end up happening here is we end up losing the Tigrex. Now, what I could have done is I could have just played that Maverick so the EX pocket is open. And upon watching this replay, I kind of wish I had done that because Tigrex can be really useful. But at the end of the day, we're still okay. We have board advantage, we have the life lead, and we have a good chunk of MP to work with. Plus, we have Brainwash, and plenty of other actions to use, so we're in great shape. And again, we're in a situation where we're just waiting. We're waiting to see what he's going to do. We're the one who's chipping away at his life. We don't really have to get in a hurry. So what he does is he plays his unit and then activates his hero art to get something, either a Maverick or a Maverick Hunter. So I use the Lupo to decrease the attack of that unit with the Puke Puke to make for a more optimal trade. Another weakness comes out, but again, other than building up the memory count for potentially powerful actions and units, this isn't really doing anything for him. Now, it will come into play here in just a few moments, as you'll see. So he activates Unforeseen Destruction for a negate, because he wants to negate all this stuff that I'm doing. Which I sit there and debate because I've got tons of MP, but we decide to let it go. At the end of this day, the unit is not causing that many problems for us. So we activate our hero art to give ourselves some more resources because this hero art is so good and we get to use it so many times. And again, the board state is still in our favor and we have tons and tons of MP. So we activate the Maverick because we have the MP to spend. And we can't really make use of these foresights without clearing our pocket. So he activates another weakness, which again, other than increasing the action counter, not having a big impact on the board state. So again, we're in a situation where we have max MP, we have board control, and we have the life lead. So now's the time to activate the Memory Threshold Met Mitsutsume. So that's what I throw down, but he's got a Demonic Intimidation waiting for me, and that's okay. He's expending almost the same amount of resources that we expended to play it. So we'll use the free MP to get a Foresight to get another card, and he uses Jackpot to temporarily weaken the Lupo again to try and minimize some of this damage that's coming his way. Now, again, we're in a situation where we've got the board state. I feel like I'm saying this a lot, guys, but it's totally true. In this match, the progression is a little slower. The pace is slower. But you'll notice that, we're just kind of playing it slow as we can. Now, the reason I chose to play the Lilith is because we have tons of MP, and we have an Oro that we can use to ascend, which is what we do. We throw the Oro down in the middle to get a little bit of damage on that 0. It doesn't finish the 0, but we do use our hero art to get ourselves another Maverick. This other 0, the Opponent Zero is on life support, and now we're just waiting for an opportunity. He uses weakness to give his Zero unit combo, which that's fine because we have tons and tons of MP to work with. I really wouldn't mind if this Lupo goes away. So we drop the other Mitsutsune, the Lilith cleans up that Zero, and then the Mitsutsune closes that match out. You guys have been asking me on every platform that I'm on, what do I think about X and Charge Shot now? So I felt like I had to include this match, and I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm going to work on a deck guide for X. I promise you I am. But my opinion is that Charge Shot is definitely tier 2. I don't think it's tier 1, but it is most certainly faster than the deck has ever been before. And in my opinion, this is the strongest that X has ever been. So what we do is I ended up throwing down the Foresight thinking that he wouldn't have anything to use on an empty board state, but he actually does have Leader Summons to give himself a board of Jaggy. So it's actually really good for him. So we throw down the Tigrex, which ends up cleaning them all up, which is fantastic for us. But that's still a good play. So he seals the Tigrex, which basically means that I'm now free to use an action if I want to. So I use the Demonic Intimidation to get rid of his unit, send that thing back to the EX pocket, because my Tigrex was going to be sealed anyway. So we still have a big body, and he throws down his Monster Hunter unit that explores an agility card. I don't remember the exact name, so please forgive me. I'm sure some of you guys will let me know in the comments because you guys are on top of it. So I throw down the Oro because that Tigrex was almost dead anyway. We throw down the Oro, which can become a big problem because he's a 3/4, and we have a Hero Art, and we get a Maverick because Maverick is so good. So he plays the unit again, and then attempts to give it Herculean Strength. But this is a perfect opportunity for us to pay 1 MP and get rid of this bad boy that he's already invested a mountain of MP to play. Now he does have Charge Shot, so Charge Shot is going to become a factor, so that's something to keep in mind. But we do have control of the board, but you guys know, just from you guys being X fans, that Charge Shot has the potential to snowball out of control. The problem is it's just a little slow, but it is faster than it's ever been. So we throw down Puke for the opportunity to debuff something when it comes out. He trades with the Lewis to give himself a little more health. Is that unit's name Lewis? I'm not sure. That could be wrong too, but it's the green unit that when it dies, it gives you health. So we throw down the Lupo to get the Puke effect, and now we have 4 full board control. We have a Brainwash on deck. We've got other units to fill out the slots. Now out comes a unit that I think is really good. It's the new X unit that says whenever he resonates, he adds 1 HP to himself and all other units, and he's relatively cheap to play. So this X is actually really good, and his strategy of having a full board, throwing down Charge Shot, and then resonating to quickly build up that board is a really good strategy. So our Oro is now gone, and it's becoming clear, if you'll notice, that his board state is about to get nuts. So we need to take this X. We have to have it for ourselves. I'm jealous. You know, I want some of this resonate action. I want my units to get bigger. So he resonates as many times as he can to give himself 2 souped up Jaggies, but we end up getting the X, which is really, really fun. The unfortunate thing is we don't have a ton of actions beyond the Maverick Hunter that we just drew into. So the best thing for us is to just kind of let these Jaggy trade as best as we can. We've got plenty of units that can trade effectively with this Jaggy. What I end up doing is I end up playing the Hell Antinora. I should have just played a Lupo because Lupo would have lived after the fact, but hindsight's 2020. So out comes the Nidhogg, and he Charge Shots once again to try to build up this bad boy. And Nidhogg can spiral out of control if you're not careful. So he uses Healing Dance to give that thing some extra MP. And since it's going to be swinging on this X, I feel like that's the perfect opportunity to give him Maverick Hunter status, put that buff down, and make him even scarier. And we just drew into another Hero Art, which is fantastic. So even though his unit has damage reduction, this X is still going to be swinging. This X is still going to be dishing out some serious pain. But we just drew into Demonic Intimidation, which means we can bounce it. And all of those resources he just expended into that Nidhogg just go down the drain, and he realizes he is too far behind, and he surrenders. I know it's still early, but Zero definitely feels like the strongest purple hero in the game right now. All 3 of his hero arts are pretty useful, and not too expensive for what they do. I've also got a ton of other ideas for how to experiment with Zero. I'm working on a few of those right now, so that means more Zero deck guides will be coming very soon. But as for this deck guide, I hope it was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments what you think about Zero. You can also let me know what topics you want to see me cover in future videos. And as always, if you like this content, then liking and subscribing really helps let me know what you guys want to see out of this channel. Until the next video, have a good one.